Did you watch the finals of the European Championship between Spain and England last year? If so, you've probably heard of the fact that the youngest player of the tournament, Lamine Yamal, turned 17 the day before the finals. But what you might have missed is that also in England's team there's a player that had his birthday one day before the finals. In fact, 2 days before the finals, Spain's player Nico Williams and England's player Luke Shaw also both had their birthday on the same day. And in fact, if you look closely, you will find that 3 more players of England all have their birthday on the same day. If this sounds like a super coincidence to you, stay tuned till the end. Before we get started, welcome back to Probably Optimal. Nice that you're here, and let's go. To figure out whether such an event as happened between Spain and England last year is super unlikely or rather the normal case, we have to compute the probability that 2 or more players on the field have their birthday on the same day. This would be quite complicated because there are so many combinations that we would have to consider, but in this case we can simply compute the probability for the complement, which is the probability that none of the players have their birthday on the same day, which is way easier, and we just subtract the result from 1. So how do we get the probability that none of the players have their birthday on the same day? For this, we imagine all the players of both teams being lined up besides the field, and additionally we think of all the possible days in the year as possible boxes to put these players into. Since we're looking now for the probability that none of the players have their birthday on the same day, every time a new player enters the field, he can only have his birthday on a date where none of the other players that are already on the field have their birthday. So every time we put in a new player, the number of possibilities for the next player decreases by 1. So the probability that the first player will have a free box is 1 because he can choose one of the 365 free boxes. The probability that the second player will hit the free box is 364 over 365 because 1 is already taken. For the third player, probability is 363 over 365 because already 2 boxes are taken, and so forth. If we then just multiply these numbers together, we get that the probability that none of the players have their birthday on the same date equates to 52.5%. On the flip side, this tells us that the probability that 2 or more players have their birthday on the same day is nearly equally likely, with something like 47.5%. So, according to theory, in about every second football game we should find at least 2 players that have their birthday on the same day. But do we also find that in real world data? To figure that out, I looked at the matches from the last match day from the German Bundesliga and collected all the birthdays of all the players from the starting teams. So there were 9 matches, and according to our calculation we would therefore expect something between 4 or 5 matches where we find at least 2 or more players with their birthday on the same date. And interestingly, already the first game that I checked, which was Leipzig against Stuttgart, there were already 2 players that had their birthday on the same day. The next game, which was Dortmund against Kiel, there were no players with their birthday on the same day. And also for Hoffenheim against Bayern Munich, this was not true. But then for Heidenheim against Bremen, we could find again 2 players with their birthday on the same day. And then the most surprising one was Freiburg against Frankfurt, where we actually had 4 such pairings. So there were 4 times 2 people on the field that had their birthday on the same day. Then for the next 2 matches there were actually no players with their birthday on the same day. And finally, for Mönchengladbach against Wolfsburg, there was again such a pairing of 2 players. In the last game there was no such pairing, and this gives us a total of 4 out of 9 matches where we found at least 2 players or more with their birthday on the same day. And this is actually surprisingly close to the predicted result. In general, I have to say that despite the fact that I knew the theoretical result, I was still surprised by how easy it is to find such pairings in the empirical data. And yeah, with that, we're at the end of the video. I hope you liked it. If yes, maybe hit the like button, maybe write a comment. If not, maybe provide some feedback. And yeah, thanks for watching.